because things did not favor you, rather than go to support somebody you don't know too well about. Because I heard him say, oh, he supported President Tinubu because of he believed in power coming to the South. No. If the same wike was made running mate to Atiku Abubakar, he would not talk about Southern presidency. We know how much he really wanted to be running mate. When he couldn't get, and you see, that's why when politicians come out and say, I'm dealing for the people ideology, they don't have ideologies about themselves. When Wike couldn't get the presidential slots in the PDP, his next effort was to be running mate to Atiku Abubakar. It was because that didn't pan out. That's why he now said, okay, I've got nothing to lose. A lot of the things Wike is saying today, if he was running mate to Atiku Abubakar, he will not say them.
All right, still very sad there with regards to the death of the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. But beyond that, Rufai, we started off talking about the report from the 68th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. We also looked at the update in Benin Republic, the Education Ministry's directive on moving students to SS3. We also looked at the defection of the Taraba State Governor. There was already news in November, but based on the Kebbi State abductions, he postponed his ceremony. And of course, amongst other news this morning, your take on the stories.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, let's start from ECOWAS. Yes, it's good to have all the sound bites, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just sound bites when you talk about the problems on the African continent, especially in West Africa. You talk about the coup, you talk about upholding democratic values. It's just sound bites when you do not have mechanisms to keep leaders in check, or when you do not say things when the leaders are going astray. I mean, look at Guinea and Alpha Conde. We knew how Guinea was slipping into a slippery slope with Alpha Conde. I don't support the coup, but see what transpired. Look at Talon. Anyway, some people have said that Talon will now use this to purge the same enemies he had always purged before. The likes of Boniyayi. I'm sure probably that's why he went after Shabi, Boniyayi's son. Because after the coup, Boniyayi did, stand in solidarity with him. But the argument against Talon is that he had always looked for ways to suppress the opposition. And that's why for people that are jubilating that everybody is moving to the APC in this country, let's be careful. Because that was what Talon did all through. Made laws, suppressed the opposition, made new electoral laws, formed new senates, where most of it will be led by former heads of states. To still have power, put in his own successor, Majinga, the finance minister. So when you have leaders that think everything is about them, then definitely it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Look at Mali. Look at Assimi Goïta that has now taken over now. Look at all of these countries. So ECOWAS can make all the right optics or the right words or the right sound bites. Can ECOWAS also put in place something that will check leaders that are going astray? I fear for the future of a country like Côte d'Ivoire after Ouattara. Because Ouattara has taken us back to the days where one man reigned supreme. He has taken us back to the days of Houphouët-Boigny. It was only death that could probably take Houphouët-Boigny out of power when he died on the 7th of December 1993. So any other person that comes in there now will be anti-democratic in nature just to be able to hold power. So it's a time bomb. And that's why we must also talk to the leaders directly. ECOWAS must have a mechanism at which they call out the leaders openly. If we do not do that, we'll keep having a recurrence of things like this. For the APC leaders that are going, I wish them a lot of good luck. For the leaders like Kefas and the likes, like we say, it's all political stability they are looking for. And for Minister Wike, happy birthday to him. But I also think there is storm ahead. Because with Fubara going to the APC now, I think he had played him in the game of chess. And when you look at it, who will President Tinubu want to do a deal with? A minister or an incumbent governor that is in the APC? When you stretch the conversation, they will say, Wike is not in the APC, he's a member of the PDP. So, APC now has the lawmakers and Fubara, even if the lawmakers that are loyal to Wike are disgruntled. But loyalties can easily switch. And I'm sure Wike should remember that. And that's why people were telling him, you will have just stuck with your own political party because things did not favor you, rather than go to support somebody you don't know too well about. Because I heard him say, oh, he supported President Tinubu because of he believed in power coming to the South. No. If the same Wike was made running mate to Atiku Abubakar, he would not talk about Southern presidency. We know how much he really wanted to be running mate. When he couldn't get, and you see, that's why when politicians come out and say, I'm doing it for the people ideology, they don't have ideologies about themselves. When Wike couldn't get the presidential slots in the PDP, his next effort was to be running mate to Atiku Abubakar. It was because that didn't pan out. That's why he now said, okay, I've got nothing to lose. A lot of the things Wike is saying today, if he was running mate to Atiku Abubakar, he will not say them. But now we can see a game that's been played against him now. Who will Fubara work? Who will the President Tinubu work with in the state? Is it a Fubara and the State House of Assembly that are already the APC, or a Wike that is now fringe as far as I'm concerned? So these are things we should look at tactically. And our commensurations to the Bayelsa State once again, and we hope that they don't turn this into a political matter. They say an autopsy is going to be done. Yeah. We cannot, negate the fact that the deputy governor was a real hard worker, was a man that believed so much in his own convictions, and he will be closely remembered for that. Real quickly, just a quick comment. I don't think the outright ban by the Education Ministry as regards people going to another school to take terminal exams is the solutions to special centers. The question is, how can we crack that vestiges of special centers that run in our society?
All right.
How is it that some are more equal than some? I think that's the real conversation we should have.
All right, more questions there. Dr.
Okay, there are 8 topics in the headline window. If possible, I would like to take all the 8. But let's see what we can take. Now, let me start with the school start SS1, SS2 thing. The federal government has now given a directive through the Ministry of Education to say that you cannot switch schools when you are in SS3. And they say this is to ensure the integrity and credibility of examinations. What has been observed is that when people switch schools at SS3, this contributes to examination malpractice. Now, there are centers that they call special centers, or they call them miracle centers. Miracle centers are those centers where when the final exam at the secondary school level is coming, either in a public school or a private school, you just switch. And you know that in those miracle centers, those special centers, you can get better grades. Now the federal government is saying you cannot do that anymore. However, the questions that arise are as follows. What if a student perhaps fails in one school and he needs to go and resit an exam, the SS3 exam, the final WASC exam in another school? Will you say that this policy will apply? Now, 2, what if the parents of the particular student in question get transferred to another state of the federation and there is need for a change of school at SS3 and that student still needs to write the exam, either privately or within the public scheme? So I don't think that enough thought has been given to this to make exceptions and to say, well, perhaps this category of students can switch schools at SS3. And then, of course, there's a third category. Students who fail the SS3 exam and they need to retake. Now, what they do is they go look for a school that can accommodate them for them to retake the exam. If you now say they cannot join at SS3, is government now saying they have to go back to SS2, when all they need to do is to just pass the exam? So there's still a lot of gray areas involved in this regard, which leads to the next point, namely that what government needs to do is to address the cause of examination malpractice. Why is there examination malpractice? Is it because papers leak? Where do the papers leak from? Is it because of failure of supervision? Is it because of collusion between the schools and the students and parents who have also been fingered, identified, either at the level of JAMB or secondary school level as people who collude with other elements to make sure that their students cheat? And then why are we complaining about students cheating? Why are we complaining about students moving from school to school? After all, our politicians are always going from one political party to the other. So if a politician can go from APC to ADC or go from PDP to ADC, so why can't the students themselves go from one secondary school to the other where they think that they will achieve the objective of passing the SS3 exam? So the children and their parents are simply following the kind of failure of leadership that we have seen in Nigeria. That's the other point in that regard. Now, ECOWAS says it's going to set up a 1,650,000 standby ECOWAS force on a sustainable basis. Fine. They did it in Liberia. They did it in Sierra Leone, what was called ECOMOG. Now, what ECOWAS at its 68th ordinary session was talking about yesterday, who is going to fund it? Funding is always a problem. Who is going to carry the burden? It's Nigeria that carries the burden. Because Nigeria says in our foreign policy roadmap that Africa is the #1 priority of Nigeria. We have been doing Father Christmas foreign policy process. So is Nigeria going to still be the country that will carry other countries on their backs? So this sustainability that the ECOWAS summit of heads of authority of states that they were talking about yesterday, every state must be ready to contribute. It is not a burden that Nigeria should carry, as has been in the case in the past. And then at the end of the day, when Nigeria carries the burden, all these states, they don't show appreciation. The first people they attack, either in Ghana or in Guinea or in Guinea-Bissau, are Nigerians. So that is the issue there. Now, you talked about Chabi Yayi in Republic of Benin. Now, the truth of the matter is that President Talon of Republic of Benin, he has always been targeting the opposition. He now has an opportunity to even go further, to attack the opposition, to further put impunity in place. There are persons who have argued that this is what led to the rebellion in terms of the coup. After all, he wants to impose his finance minister as the leader in April 2026. He has already tampered with constitutional limits to benefit himself. No, the issue is that this coup, aborted coup in the Republic of Benin, should not become an opportunity for further repression. While we recognize the fact that a country has to deal with elements who want to violate the constitutional order. It should not be a process for persecution. It should not be a process for witch hunting. Abu Kefas, Dr. Abu Kefas of Taraba, he was the one that led the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration fact-finding mission. I think, was it to Republic of Benin or Cameroon most recently? So he has been romancing the APC. And so now he says he's going to join the APC and that the announcement will be made and that the reason it was suspended is because of, the abduction of children and all that. Look, the big issue is that the progression of Nigeria towards a one-party state. After Governor Abu Kefas of Taraba, maybe other governors will join. So at the end of the day, you have, an imaginary, or unimagined, or a fait accompli one-party state. But I keep making the point that the Tinubu administration, the APC government, should learn from history. In the First Republic, there was this attempt to, cancel inclusivity and impose a one-party state on Nigeria. We know how it ended up in 1964 in the Western region. In 1983,